Alright, here we are. Just gonna do a short, quick and dirty guide for a character I've been playing. That's a Storm Crow Beastmaster build for Parry the Pig's contest of cooldown reduction. Just gonna start off with a little gameplay here, running through. This is an Empower Mono. I'm not very deep into corruption yet. It's still at 100. You can see the modifiers over on the right side, and my character's kind of in an awkward spot right now where my defenses are not where I want them to be, and I'm dying more than I want to, but I know what I need to do to fix that. It's just a matter of getting the right gear, and I'm still pretty happy with the results, especially because I got Storm Crows to work in a way that feels pretty good. These little gates or whatever at the end of monos are a pretty good showcase of what the crows can do, because they can just auto-target everything and burn it down. And of course, I'm dropping my Frenzy Totem to get a little more speed and, you know, just boosting them, because the crows are all of my damage. I don't do any damage whatsoever, but yeah, there's a little bit of gameplay. Just head back here and try not to worry about the loot too much. Like I said, Beastmaster, level 88, got my reses figured out, and we're just doing Corruption 100 in the Monolith. But yeah, so main part of the build is summon Storm Crows. I'm going up here to the top left, more damage per active crow. Right now I'm only running 4. I don't have a legendary Ardor's Legacy helmet yet, which gives you another companion. I was doing the trick with wolves to get an extra companion maximum limit for a little bit while I was leveling, because it felt really good. But I think that's kind of cheesy and lame, and not sure if it's a bug or not. So you could get up to 6 crows. Right now I'm just running with 4. And it's not too bad, but you get more damage for each crow that you have here. This is a really powerful node. It's 60% more damage each time you, well, not each time, but it has a chance to, 20% chance when you hit something to give this 60% damage buff, stacking 3 times. And we're attacking pretty slow, but 3 times in 10 seconds is not that hard to do. And then this one gives the birds Armor Shred chance, and this one gives Armor Shred chance and effect per strength. So with 15 or higher strength, that's actually 100% Armor Shred for each crow, and 160 Armor Shred per stack. So if you get something that survives for a little bit, it's going to get weaker and weaker and weaker. I've seen like 40 plus Armor Shred stacks on things. Feels pretty good. Gave them some shock chance, because they're attacking way faster than I am. I want them to be putting shock on the target. This also gives, at maximum shock stacks 10, another 60% damage multiplier. Very juicy. And I went for this mode, this Fulminating Caw. I've been looking at this one for a while and wanting to play around with it. It's got 150% lightning damage effectiveness applied to my Storm Crows. So when we get to the gearing section, you'll see I've geared percent lightning damage and percent minion damage everywhere, and that just ends up being a huge multiplier. Running swipe kind of doesn't matter most of the points here. We just go down to get the cooldown. This was the node that I decided to play the build for in its entirety, because it's a cooldown, or it puts a cooldown on the skill, but it's only 2 seconds. So if you can get a little bit of cooldown reduction, all of a sudden it's down to 1.4, 1.3, 1.2, and just feels like a big, meaty, slow, two-handed attack. It's up pretty regularly, you know. It's a little slow. I am missing some cooldown reduction. I don't have opal rings, but yeah. So that was what I decided to build the whole build around. Is just that 2-second cooldown, getting that as short as possible, seeing if I could make it feel good as a main attack skill, even though it's not the one that's actually doing the damage. This is doing the damage. When you hit with swipe while it has that cooldown, then you use a companion ability. And all of the modifiers that I picked up in the Storm Crow's tree are more damage multipliers that affect everything that they do. There are some juicy nodes down here for Crow Storm specifically, but I wanted to get the ones that just make my Storm Crows better all the time so that they can do most of the clearing for me. And it feels pretty good. Went for maximum area just so I have an easier time reaching things as I'm attacking them. Kill threshold, obviously very important. These, I don't even think you really need these because swipe itself isn't doing any damage. That's just travel points. Make it lightning. Make it lightning. Lightning pen. This one I'm playing around with because I am using Frenzy Totem just to reset the cooldown on this entirely for the area. I don't care about the damage, but just sometimes I run up to something that's slightly out of where I think my reach is, and this can help sometimes alleviate that by giving you just a little more area so you can hit things a little further away. And then the real star of the show was something that I didn't realize how powerful it was, but Fury Leap. Specifically these nodes right here. 15 flat damage to you and all of your minions. The thing with Storm Crows is, like I said earlier, I'm getting huge damage effectiveness from increased damage, and they have 60% more damage there, 180% more damage there. With 4 crows, 80%. With 5 crows, 100% more damage here. So those are huge increased and more multipliers. But the crows really struggled with flat damage. So this was my kind of remedy for that. The duration is 3 seconds. Since we're stacking cooldown, we want to get Fury Leap cooldown as low as possible. If you could get it down even further to like 3 seconds, that would feel really, really great. I went down here also just for some health restoration and ailment cleanse. This is a free potion on, every time you leap, a 3-second cooldown, pretty much. And cleansing your minions too, really nice, helps their survivability. A little extra area there, immune while leaping, cooldown recovery speed. And then these points just to group things up a little better when I jump into the middle of a pack. Just kind of a quality of life. I like it. You don't have to take it. I could convert Fury Leap to Lightning, but like I said, I'm not dealing any of the damage, so I don't think it really matters. Technically, you could get a staff that has like +1 elemental skills, and it would refund the point that you put into that. Oh, but I don't even have enough points there, so never mind. Yeah, going up here for Lightning, I really wish these nodes were better, but that's kind of not the point of the build anyway. Just buffing our minions with that spell damage. And for the last 2 skills, I'm trying this, but there are definitely other things you could try. I'm building Frenzy Totem with buff effect, haste, and more buff effect, but only for my companions. And then huge range on it, and casting Eterra's Blessing randomly, or having a chance to every second. Eterra's Blessing is also giving a bunch of minion cast speed. When it heals a minion, it heals me. This node, I really wish that the effect that this procced would transfer all of the buffs from Eterra's Blessing. It does not, but this is just an AoE heal, keeping the birds topped off. If I happen to be standing near one and I'm injured, I'll get a little bit of a heal too. Not too bad, and there really isn't too much else in the tree that we want. I mean, resistances might be nice, but it's such a temporary thing, I don't want to rely on that. We don't need most of this other stuff. We're getting Frenzy from the totem, so I didn't want to spend the points to go down here. I just went up to the top right to get heals over time, and then heals at the end. If I understand correctly, this means that the buff will proc again at the end of the heal, so it kind of doubles the duration of the buff. And Eterra's Blessing itself, if we read the last line, the last sentence there, any minion that's hit by it does 100% increased damage. It's not more damage, just increased, but every little bit helps. I was trying to make Earthquake work with a cooldown, but again, I'm just building so much for minion damage, it didn't really feel worth it. I wish Earthquake was a good skill without Buldar's Wrath, of course. I wish I could make it Lightning and make it feel good. The other thing I thought of playing around with was Warcry, proccing Maelstrom, giving you invulnerability, and if you cut the cooldown in half and then have a bunch of cooldown reduction on top of that, you could be, invulnerable for a decent amount of time, heal yourself, heal your allies, cleanse your allies, cast Maelstrom, fun stuff like that. You could also go for increased crit chance for allies up here. I think this is the only node on the tree that really affects minions as far as increasing their damage. There's not really any point in going for Berserk because we're attacking so slow, and like I said, we're not focusing on our melee damage. And of course, Maelstrom, if you want, you could build that with haste, frenzy, dodge speed, maybe some healing per second, maybe some lightning for extra hits if you want to hit, proc frailty on hit a little faster. I think really the benefit of running Warcry and Maelstrom might be just defenses, because you'd have a bunch more dodge rating and heal per second with that, and also just invulnerability from Warcry. That's kind of the skills that I'm running with. Oh yeah, I should do passives. Again, there's a lot of limited options because we're focusing on minions. I went for resistances, minion damage. This just increased health mostly, but then also every 3 seconds when we attack, we give our minions 55% more damage, 11% per point. That's a pretty good deal. I went for that, and 100% potion effect up here. Increased minion spell damage would be fine. I am going to get Berserker eventually, just survivability. This one could also be good, but I don't want to spend that many points in Primalist. I think just 20 plus the 5 for Berserker is plenty. Beastmaster I'll go over in a minute. That's the most important one, but this one, in Shaman, it does say you and your minions penetrate, so that's 8% more damage multiplier. Pretty fun. And Attunement also scales both the Storm Crows themselves and the Crow Storm companion ability. This one, more cooldown recovery speed for Fury Leap, and increased damage and increased minion damage. One of the kind of fun things about this node, and this next node I'm going to talk about, increased lightning damage, is remember back in the Storm Crows tree when it says your increases to lightning damage applied to your Storm Crows, it does include generic damage. Elemental damage increases, and it increases that don't have a specific type. So, if it's at 150% effectiveness for the lightning damage, this node ends up giving 25% to the minion directly, and then 25% times 1.5. I don't want to do that math in my head right now, but the minion basically gets double and a little bit more of the bonus from this node, and this other node over here, which increases both your lightning damage and your minion's lightning damage. Really, really fun stuff there. And then again, like I was talking about with the Storm Crows, they are desperate for flat damage, so gotta get this node. 10 minion spell lightning damage helps out the Crows so much. Druid, just getting some armor and endurance here, and the fun Druidic Harass. I'm still leveling, 1 point away from getting the big bonus there. And again, remember, strength is really useful for us because it gives us the armor shred with the Crows, and of course the Crows themselves scale with both strength and attunement, which you might not have known. I didn't realize they had strength scaling when I first started playing with it, but the Crow Storm that we're proccing is just attunement. That doesn't care about strength, but I think the little bit of extra armor shred is worth it. I don't know if it's worth it to invest all the way up here to the minion attack and cast speed. There isn't a whole lot else that in the Druid tree that would be useful for us. We're not going to be transformed. We don't care about physical or poison damage or cold. So I guess Thorn Shield and then work your way up to that, but it seems a little pricey. Just another thing I considered. And then Beastmaster, of course. Damage taken from nearby enemies reduced. Very good. Aspect to the boar. Better. Increased minion attack speed. Cast speed. Love it. Makes the zappy birds feel so much better. Extra health for us and them. And this is a heal whenever you use a companion ability, and it does proc from the quote-unquote free cast from swipe. And it actually is free. It doesn't cost mana, and it doesn't put it on a cooldown. So that's one really nice thing about this build, is you don't have to worry about mana because you're just using swipe and proccing Crowstorm for free, and it doesn't use up any mana, unlike, you know, Harbinger of Stars, Meteor Belt, or something like that you have to figure, oh, how am I going to regenerate all this? Anyway, back to this build. This is another fun node, because it means your endurance threshold, whatever it is, also applies to your companions. It might even be worth building a little bit of endurance threshold just to keep them a little tankier. You only need 1 point in this to get that bonus, and I think that's really good. You could also consider going up here for more endurance threshold, Phys-Res for yourself and your minions. Might help with gearing a little bit. And then, of course, I went into aspect of the links. And this procs when you use a companion ability and gives you more crit strike chance. The 40% listed here is always on, and then the buff does additional to that. And same with over here, it's a 60% bonus to critical multiplier all the time, and then while you have aspect of the links, it's another 60%. So that makes our crits really, really juicy. A little bit of health leech up here. I might put a few more points in here. I'm not having too much trouble with my crows dying at the moment. Like I said, I just got to empowered level 100 corruption content, but really I die more often than my crows do, so eventually that might be something worth looking into. And of course the maximum companions right here, along with the bonus from Beastmaster itself, lets us get up to 4 Storm Crows, which is awesome. Like I said, I want to get a Arter's Legacy legendary helmet. I have one with 1 potential here, but the helmet I have is so good I kind of don't want to risk breaking it. Because again, it's got that flat spell damage for Storm Crows. That is an affix that I'm pretty sure can only roll on Primalist helmets. So you desperately need that there. The Crows themselves have a base damage of 20, so we're adding 13 here, 15 from Fury Leap, 10 from the Shaman tree. You know, we're just adding a lot of damage that way. And with the increase in more multipliers, I should just show you, I've got, you know, a little less than 600 increased lightning, so that's 800 something % increased for the crows, and then minion spell damage 700, so they're really getting like 1500%, and then all of the more multipliers I mentioned their skill tree, but they need that base damage to scale it off. So spell damage and the shared lightning damage and minion lightning damage, like I said, the crows kind of double dip on that. You get 150% of 69, nice, and 69 again, because they inherit your own lightning damage stats. This is mostly just a resistances amulet. The lightning penetration, I'm almost 100% certain, doesn't propagate down to the Storm Crows and your minions, unless it specifies it does, like here at the beginning of the Shaman tree, you and your minions penetrate. So I think this lightning pen doesn't do anything for us, but really juicy 253% minion health helps keep them alive. Like I said, as soon as I started using that, I haven't really been having any problems with them dying. I think probably getting at least one minion health affix somewhere on your gear would be pretty important. I'm going to do some more testing without this and see if it's even necessary, see if they can sustain themselves okay without it, but it's nice quality of life to just not have them dying, because they're notoriously squishy. This is damn near the perfect weapon. It's got lightning damage. Oh, well, I guess the elemental damage is only tier 1. There's actually a reason to use elemental damage in this build, Barry. Go figure. Because the elemental damage, even though it rolls lower, our crows are getting 150% of it on top of the increased lightning damage. And there is no minion damage on two-handed weapons, I'm pretty sure. because you can get the minion spell damage as a suffix, which is another crazy huge damage increase. For your body armor, I feel bad because we're doing the cooldown contest and I'm not using the cooldown chest. I'm using the minion spell damage. Again, just because crows really need that to start out with, and then all the multipliers can stack up on it. And of course, summon Storm Crow points. I didn't point this out earlier, but yeah, I'm at 25. 2 from Raven's Rise, 2 from the chess piece, and 1 from minion skills. You can also definitely use the staff that is a +1 to elemental skills. That would also work, but I think plus to minion skills is one of the most important stats you can get, because there's just so much good stuff in Stormcrow's tree. If I had 40 points in here, I would probably still want more. You can go down here, crit multi, base crit chance when you melee attack, 120% more Crowstorm damage, Crowstorm area, more damage per crow. Like, there's so many crazy multipliers in this tree that you kind of can't go wrong. Even going up here and giving them heals or like wisdom stacks, or give yourself some intelligence for some reason. There's a lot of interesting stuff in this tree. Anyway, I digress. Bonus points for Stormcrow is very important. Minion spell critical strike chance. I just got that randomly on a nice chess piece. I think it's very helpful. I don't build for crit specifically, but we do have aspect of links, so we crit fairly often, and I think it's worth it. The crits can be pretty huge. Moving on, we've got resistance ring, lightning, minion damage, same over here, minion elemental damage. That's really the focus, is getting lightning or elemental damage and minion damage everywhere you can. Like you said, same on the belt. Cooldown recovery speed, of course, and hybrid health. Cooldown recovery speed and regular health. That's not what I want. This is just what I've got at the moment. Again, lightning damage, minion damage, resistances, getting a chance to apply frailty either on relic or amulet. Very important, helps survivability. Raven's Rise, +2 to spell minion skills. That's really all we care about on here. I mean, the minion movement speed is nice, keeps them, or lets them keep up with you a little better. Necro Res, not bad. There was a little bit of time where I was playing around with the Stormcarved Testament, and it just wasn't doing any damage. We're not building for totem damage. We do have a decent amount of minion damage, and even like flat sources that go to both the companions and the totems in the Shaman tree. It just didn't feel like it was doing anything. Like I said, because most of the gear that we've got is % increased lightning damage, which normally doesn't pass down to your minions, but does specifically for Stormcrows if you take the fulminating caw. I really wish that this would be a good item. It looks so cool. Anyway, so that's kind of the gear. Oh yeah, and the idols, I've just got health, shared lightning damage, couple res things. And I did use all these idols for the critical strike avoidance. The suffix is the only part that matters. I mean, 9% increased health is nothing to sneeze at. But the rest of these, the prefix doesn't matter. Just the critical strike avoidance, so that I can make sure both myself and all my birds never get crit. That way you don't have to do the blessing either. And you can go for... I forget which one is which, but... is it this one? I haven't done much farming on this, but yeah, you don't have to get the crit avoidance blessing. You can get something else there instead. Minion all res, again, great for survivability. I got almost the minimum roll for armor on the Grand Blessing, on like the first Echo I ran in Spirits of Fire. So that's fun. I love that. I don't even have the Empowered Blessing here. Still got more armor to get. Chance to shred lightning, of course, very good. Need that way higher because we're attacking pretty slow. I think this is the one that can be crit avoid, and I just need it to be anything else? Or, no, this is the Void one. I want Void Res for that, so I can take it off some of my gear. But yeah, overall, build's really fun. Feels pretty quick. I'm going to keep working on it, but I just needed to make this video so I can submit it. Critical Strike multiplier, like I said, from the aspect of the length points, it's 60% always, even without the buff on. But yeah, this has kind of been my little project. 39% cooldown recovery speed. Oh yeah, I don't have any opal rings, and I'm not using the cooldown chest, so this could be almost doubled, like 30% more. I just haven't found any opal ring bases that compete with it. And of course that would mean that you're swiping more often, which means you're proccing Crow Storm more often. If you can get that Fury Leap cooldown to as close to 3 as possible, then you can keep that plus 15 spell damage on for your crows. Summon Frenzy Totem is just kind of there. It helps with static defense if you're doing an arena map or something like that where you know the enemies will be coming to you. Helps out a lot, and since we gave it that small chance to proc Eterra's Blessing, heals me. Ping! Just a little extra sustain. That is one thing that this character struggles with, is sustain, because Leech doesn't really matter for us because we're not doing the damage. Like, my swipe DPS is 600. It's so sad, so pathetic. We're not building for that at all. So Leech isn't really a good option. But you know, we're getting free heals every few seconds from Hunter's Restoration, heal on companion ability use, Aspect of the Boar, of course, is nice for tankiness. Gives a little bit of health regen. I don't think anyone really cares about that part. But yeah, you could build for health regen, but Leech just doesn't really seem like it would do much of anything. Yeah, I guess that's all I've got to say for now. I'll do one more echo just to show off what it can do. Still only corruption 100, but it's not too bad. Once you get those 3 stacks of buff that doesn't have an icon, the Huntsman from the Storm Crow tree, where your melee hits have a chance to give your Storm Crows 60% more damage. Once you get 3 of those stacked up, I've already been doing crits for 100k. Like when you first start out, before you get your invisible buff stacked up, they're only hitting for like 30k, which is definitely not bad. But once you get the 3 marksman or huntsman stacks, then it can go up to 100k. And I mean, I just like being able to run around and have birds auto target everything for me. Mostly I just hold down Fury Leap and Frenzy Totem so that I can move across the map as quick as possible. Frenzy Totem is giving all of us haste. The Crow Storm's coming down every time I swipe. Feels pretty good. I wish I had the points to get more area on it, like I said. But yeah, I just drop down a totem, get some haste, run forward, jump. Pretty much just hold those 2 buttons down all the time, and then try not to die. Oh yeah, so this is where Frenzy Totem shines at the shrine. Just giving everyone in the area extra attack speed, all that fun stuff. Like, Crow Storm, when it hits, and it hits hard, it feels so good. Having it on such a short cooldown, because it's procced by swipe, also feels really good. And then just juicing up the birds to be able to hold their own, not bad. Clears it out pretty quick. And there's a higher ceiling for this as well. My gear is not optimal. Especially once I get that Arter's Legacy helmet with... hopefully I can get it with the plus to Storm Crow's flat damage on it. and then have one extra crow, which will give all of my crows 20% more damage, aside from the fact that there will just be 25% more crows, will feel really, really good. Anyway, that's my cheesy build submission for cooldown without actually using all that much cooldown. I just wanted to play Storm Crows. I just wanted to swipe with the claws of the bear, as they say, and see how good I could make that feel with some cooldown speed. Alright, that's it. Thank you.